Hello Year 9 and welcome to this lesson on limiting factors. I want you to write down the date, the title, the LO, and I want you to try the starter task, please. So pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, the simple equation for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water goes to glucose plus oxygen. And of course, the symbols for that are CO2 plus H2O plus, goes to C6H12O6 plus O2. But remember, we need to balance it. This isn't balanced. There's more carbon on this side of the equation than this side of the equation. There's more oxygen on this side of the equation than this side of the equation. And there's more hydrogen on this side of the equation than this side of the equation. So because of the conservation of matter, we know that that isn't balanced. There needs to be the same amount of each element on each side of the equation. And to balance this, we put a 6 in front of everything other than glucose. So remember, it's the devil's equation, 6, 6, 6. A 6 in front of everything apart from glucose, and it is now balanced. Okay, so limiting factors in photosynthesis. So there are 3 factors that affect how fast the reaction of photosynthesis can happen. These are known as the limiting factors. They limit how much photosynthesis can take place at any one time. The 3 limiting factors are light, carbon dioxide, and temperature. So these are the 3 things that will affect how fast photosynthesis can take place or whether it can take place at all. So I want you to write those 3 things down, please. They are the 3 limiting factors. So the first one is going to be light. Now I'm going to sketch a graph. I want you to do the same thing, please. So we have our X and Y axis. And on the x-axis we have light intensity, on the y-axis we have rate of photosynthesis. And then our graph is going to look like this. So we don't need any numbers anywhere, we just need light intensity at the bottom, rate of photosynthesis at the side, and then this is showing how light intensity affects the rate of photosynthesis. So we can see as light intensity increases, photosynthesis increases until we get to a certain point where it tapers off and flattens out. Now at this point, it means that light intensity isn't the thing that's affecting the rate of photosynthesis anymore. At this point, it's got as much light as it needs to photosynthesize as much as it can. Any more light than that, it doesn't need. It's already photosynthesizing as fast as it possibly can. So when it gets to this point, it means that something else is limiting photosynthesis. Light intensity at this point, that's as much light as it needs. Okay, so it increases to a point and then it evens out because it's got enough light. So I want you to sketch that out, please, and I want you to describe what is happening. Right, the next one, we're going to do the same thing. So we have our X and Y axis. On the bottom this time, however, we have carbon dioxide concentration. And then up the side, we have rate of photosynthesis again. And this graph looks exactly the same as the light intensity one. So draw this graph and describe what's happening, please. So as carbon dioxide concentration increases, the rate of photosynthesis increases. And this is, of course, because carbon dioxide is a reactant in photosynthesis. So obviously the more carbon dioxide we have, the faster photosynthesis can happen. Up until a certain point again. So once it gets to this point, it means it's got as much carbon dioxide as it needs, and at this point something else is the limiting factor of photosynthesis. And the very last one, we have temperature. So again, we are going to draw our graph. On the bottom, we are going to have temperature, and up the side, we are going to have rate of photosynthesis. But this graph is different. It's going to look like that, and I will explain why. So first of all, I want you to get the graph down. So carbon dioxide and light intensity were the same. They went up and tapered off. This, however, goes up until a point where it goes, and then it goes all the way back down to 0. So it's increasing the rate of photosynthesis, and then it will drop all the way to no photosynthesis at all. And the reason for this is because of enzymes. So enzymes are what help our photosynthesis reaction take place. So here on the side we have an enzyme and a substrate. Now this substrate can fit perfectly into the enzyme's active site, and then the enzyme breaks that molecule down. But if the temperature gets too high, then the enzyme will denature, which means its active site will be different. All the bonds will break in the enzyme and it won't look the same anymore. Therefore, they don't have a lock and key fit anymore. They don't have a complementary shape. That enzyme is no longer functional because it got too hot. So that is this point up here. So when it gets to a certain temperature, then it will denature, and therefore it won't be able to do its job anymore, and photosynthesis won't be able to take place. So this bit here, the bit as we're going up, that is because the hotter something is, the more energy it has. So substrates and the enzymes have more energy, they're more likely to come together faster. So as the temperature increases, the rate of photosynthesis does increase, the enzymes work better, but it is only to a point. If they get too hot, they will denature and it won't be able to do its job anymore. So I want you to sketch the graph and I want you to explain what is happening, please. Questions. So I want you to try these questions, pause the video here, and I'll give you the answers in 5 seconds. Okay, number 1, explain why light levels at its intensity can affect the rate of photosynthesis. So light is needed for photosynthesis, it supplies the energy for the reaction. If there's no light, then there's no energy for the reaction, so it can't happen. So the more light there is, the more energy there is. Therefore, the more light intensity, the higher the rate of photosynthesis. Number 2, explain why carbon dioxide levels can affect the rate of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide is a reactant in photosynthesis. If there isn't any carbon dioxide, then photosynthesis can't happen. If there's a lot of carbon dioxide, then a lot of photosynthesis can happen. So as carbon dioxide levels increase, the rate of photosynthesis increases. Number 3, explain why temperature can affect the rate of photosynthesis. So the photosynthesis reaction is controlled by enzymes. As the temperature heats up, the enzymes and the substrates have more energy, but if it heats up too much, then the enzyme will denature and it will no longer be able to do its job. So photosynthesis will completely stop if the plant gets too hot, if the enzymes get too hot. So I want to give you to give yourself a mark out of 3, please. Okay, very last page. So what I want you to do is, I want you to try these 4 questions, and then we are going to mark them at the start of next lesson. So try these 4 questions, and I will put the answers up at the start of next lesson. Okay, that is the end of this lesson for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day.